Once again, Trump is disrespecting the military, and what he says isn't just shocking, it is untrue, but it emphasizes how little respect he has for our military. While America was focused on Trump's tantrum about tariffing the EU at 50%, something else was happening behind closed doors, something no cameras were allowed to see, and something no TV network is talking about yet. It happened fast. It happened really quietly, and it could have serious consequences for every American when it comes to national security. So before we show you what Trump said, let's talk about what he was doing off camera. While the media was distracted by Trump's tantrum and the 50% tariffs on the EU, the president fired 106 career staffers at the National Security Council in what some officials are calling the biggest foreign policy purge in modern U.S. history. According to NPR, entire NSC teams were wiped out, including experts on Russia, China, Israel, and global conflict zones. These weren't political appointees. They were career intelligence veterans, some serving across Republican and Democratic administrations. And the way it happened, key cards revoked, emails disabled, no warning, just a directive at 4:30 p.m. to vacate their offices by 5 p.m. That is just 30 minutes. What is happening? One formal official told NPR, "I don't think we're protecting the country anymore. I think we're protecting the president." And who's in charge of national security now? Marco Rubio, Trump's hand-picked security of state and national security advisor? One man in two of the most powerful roles in U.S. foreign policy, and he has gone completely silent. Insiders at state say this isn't about policy. It's about obedience and loyalty. If you ever disagreed with Trump on Ukraine, China, even TikTok, you're fired. Another official put it like this: if you told the truth in a briefing room, consider yourself fired. So while Trump was smiling for cameras today, and what he said on stage explains exactly why. We've seen this pattern before. When the cameras roll, Trump played to the crowd. But behind the curtain, he is redrawing the map, replacing strategy with loyalty, firing experts and silencing dissent. And this morning, at one of the most sacred military ceremonies in America, Trump did it again. At today's West Point graduation, Trump announced that drag shows will no longer be allowed on military bases or at military-sponsored events. And that's what this speech was about. Not about the cadets, not about their sacrifice, but his culture war.
Being thought of again, you are the first West Point graduates of the golden age of America. This is the golden age, I tell you. Promise. We're in a new age. This is the golden age. And you're going to lead the Army to summits of greatness that has never reached before. And you see that. You see what's happening. You see what's going on in the world. Each of you is entering the officer corps at a defining moment in the Army's history. For at least 2 decades, political leaders from both parties have dragged our military into missions it was never meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. People would say, why are we doing this? Why are we wasting our time, money, and souls in some case? They sent our warriors on nation-building crusades to nations that wanted nothing to do with us, led by leaders that didn't have a clue in distant lands, while abusing our soldiers with absurd ideological experiments here and at home. All of that's ended. You know that. All of it's ended. It's ended strongly, ended. They're not even allowed to think about it anymore. They subjected the armed forces to all manner of social projects and political causes while leaving our borders undefended and depleting our arsenals to fight other countries' wars. We fought for other countries' borders, but we didn't fight for our own border, but now we do, like we have never fought before, by the way. But under the Trump administration, those days are over. We're getting rid of the distractions, and we're focusing our military on its core mission crushing America's adversaries, killing America's enemies, and defending our great American flag like it has never been defended before. The job of the U.S. Armed Forces is not to host drag shows, to transform foreign cultures, but to spread democracy to everybody around the world at the point of a gun. The military's job is to dominate any foe and annihilate any threat to America anywhere, anytime, and any place.
He called it a moral restoration and said the U.S. Armed Forces would return to discipline and domination. Instead of honoring their 4 years of grueling training, Trump used their graduation stage to launch another attack on the LGBTQ plus community. He didn't mention suicide rates among veterans. He didn't talk about Putin or Ukraine or even China. He talked about drag queens, and that's the point. This wasn't a commencement speech. It was a political rally and a chance for Trump to tell his story to a bunch of people in uniform. His presence there as a 5-time draft dodger was disrespectful enough. Now he's using the military event to score points in his culture war, and he's cutting out the people who tell him things he doesn't want to hear. Today, he did both literally at the same time. Mark my words. Trump wants a military that looks strong, but won't question him. He wants a national security council that obeys, not one that strategizes. And he wants to keep you focused on non-existent drag shows while he's quietly consolidating power. This isn't about morals. This isn't about the military. This is about control. And as always, it is my absolute pleasure to share a piece of the news with you today. You guys can find me on my Instagram 24/7. Come by and give me a follow and say hello. And until the next video, have a wonderful day.